Hi, my name is Ashley McNeil, and I am your engineering librarian. I am very excited to share with you some quick looks at some of the services that we offer to distance students, students in virtual programs who may not be within driving range of Birmingham, Alabama. So, this is our UAB Libraries webpage that shows a little bit of information about services we provide to distant students. But to be honest, it's pretty minimal. There is a link to the liaison librarians here. So if you didn't know who yours was, which you do, my name is Ashley, you could look here to see who you should be reaching out to for your field's specific questions. Also, there's a convenient link here to the research guides, which I'm going to walk you through in just a minute. And then there's a little bit of discussion on using the chat. Here is the chat with a librarian chat. It is available from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays, Central Time, local time here in Birmingham. So if you wanted to, you could chat now, tell us your name, your affiliation, faculty, staff, student, etc. And then I recommend that you select Mervyn Stern Library. That's the library that I'm at. Lister Hill is the library for health sciences, as you can see. So if you ask your question to Lister Hill, one of their librarians are more likely to answer it, and then they're going to end up transferring you to me anyway. So I recommend just going ahead and selecting Mervyn Stern. Then you can type your question, and in case I'm not the person who's on chat right now, you can always specifically ask for Ashley and then just type your question and they will make sure that you get connected with me. This is the library's homepage, library.uab.edu. It has a lot of really great information, and I'm going to walk you through the things that are probably most useful to you. The first thing I'd like to show you is those research guides. So the button for research guides is right here on the middle of the screen. There are three options for your type of guides. We have course guides, which are for specific courses. Not all courses will have one of these. It depends on if your professor reached out to one of us to make one together. There are subject guides, for example, engineering, and then there are how-to guides, which are not really subjects that fall into one specific field. For example, many different fields have book reviews. Scientists and scholars from many different fields use things like EndNote or use the APA 7th edition style for their citations. These sort of fall outside the realm of individual fields. For now, I'm going to take you to the list of all subject guides. They are listed by topic. So we have arts, business, clinical support, etc. If you keep on going, you'll hit engineering. Ashley, me, your engineering librarian, maintains all of these subjects. And so if you click on any of these, you're probably going to see my face pop up. As you can see, several of our programs have individual pages, which will maybe have topics more geared towards that individual program. If you're not really sure if you want to use one of these, most of the information from the individual ones is also found in engineering, just the general engineering guide. I do also have guides on safety data sheets, environmental impact statements, if those things are interesting to you. Finally, something I wanted to point out and make sure that you know about is this guide right here, Textbooks for UAB engineering courses. This is a really useful guide because we know here at the UAB libraries that textbooks are really expensive. And so we try to go out of our way to provide access to as many course materials as possible so that you don't have to incur that cost. So I recommend you can look up your courses here by the course tag, right? So ASEM or IEM, for example. And if you come into these, it will show you any of the courses that we have the recommended or required texts for. Now, for our fully online programs, I make sure that we have digital access. I am not going to buy a physical hard copy of any of these books for our library because the people who need them can't use them if they're sitting on a shelf. If any of them are missing, it's not because we're not trying, but sometimes those books are just not available to be purchased in this format for the library. But yes, I really recommend you check here to see if you can save yourself some money when you are starting your new semester of a course. Now, the next thing I'd like to show you from the homepage of the library is this link here for databases. Much of what you will find on those individual departmental or program guides that I showed you the links to a moment ago are lists of databases that I recommend for different topics. I highly recommend, if you're going to use the databases link to look at all of our databases, of which there are many, I recommend that you narrow down your scope by choosing a subject. We have a variety of different subjects that you can choose that will sort of give you a limited number of databases based on the subject you picked. I picked engineering. There are 23 of them we recommend on this list. At the top of any subject is going to be 5 or so best bets. These are the databases we recommend the most often for most projects in that field. Each of these databases will have a little description, and then which database you use will really depend on the kind of information that you're looking for. I don't expect you to necessarily know I need this specific thing, so here's the database I need. That's my job, right? I'm your librarian. So you're welcome to kind of look through them and try some things, read the descriptions, obviously, to kind of guide you. If you have a question, if you have a need for a specific kind of information and you're not sure where to look, contact me. Email me anytime. This is all well and good, right? Databases, that seems super advanced. So what if I just wanted to search the library? What if I just wanted to search the library and I didn't want to deal with an individual database or something like that? You can. And if you search here, sure, let's search for engineering safety. You can limit this to what's in our library's catalog, or you can search for everything. I personally don't find that those results are super different. You can search for just articles or just course reserves, but there is a way to narrow it down to just articles after you do your general search. So you're welcome to just leave it at everything. This is going to give you quite a few results, 1.3 million results, because what we searched for was pretty broad. But you can always narrow that down by looking at your resource types here. So if you want books, if you want chapters of books or articles, and the numbers next to those things are how many of those items there are. You can also narrow it by date. Supposedly this goes back to 1396, which I highly doubt, but okay. So that can help narrow it down. Also, for the purpose of our distance students, I recommend narrowing it down to things that are available online. This way you'll be able to actually access all of those items. If you search for things, for example, held by library, what this means is we physically have a copy of it sitting on a shelf. At Stern Library, our books live on the third floor and they are sorted by Library of Congress catalog. So they have some letters followed by some numbers that tell us where to find them. If you want access to something that is sitting on our shelf upstairs, we can do that for you. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But as I said, there are a couple of different ways to sort through what we have. But let me just warn you, not everything we have access to is going to show up in this catalog. There are millions of new papers coming out every month. And there's no way that all of those things are going to show up in our personal search here at UAB. It's just too many things. Depending on what you're looking for, it is just often much faster and more reliable to go to a database. Again, if you're not sure which database, feel free to email me anytime. I am listed at the top of most engineering searches. So there's my email if you click that button. All right, back here on the main page, let's talk about if you want access to something that either we don't have a subscription to or we have it physically in the library, but you want to see a PDF. What you can do is go to Interlibrary Loan. ILL is what we usually call it. It also is the same system that does document delivery, which is technically what we call it when you ask us to scan you a chapter from a book that we have in our physical collection. So to get access to this, you'll just click this button and then sign in with your UAB credentials. The first time you sign in, it is going to ask you about your address and some other things, some background info. But then after that, you can request journal articles that we don't have access to. You can request a scanned version of a chapter or a couple of chapters from a book that we have in our physical collection. Note, you cannot request a whole book at a time. That's a lot of work, but also a violation of copyright. But if you want to request a chapter or a couple of chapters at a time, that's totally an option. Also, for some of our books that we have on campus, physical books, it may be really hard to find like a table of contents or something that tells you what the chapters are. I encourage you, if you're ever just curious about the contents of a book you might be interested in for a project or for class, just email me and ask me to send you a picture of the table of contents so that you can decide which chapters you would like to request through document delivery. There are no fees at all for interlibrary loan or document delivery. It's a free service, so I encourage you to use it if you need to use it. I've just flipped us over to the engineering guide. We have some databases. I have some information here about accessing codes and standards, some other things. But most importantly, on the front page of each of my guides, you should find my face and some information about me. You can email me from here. You can click this button to schedule a meeting. I have options for 30 minutes and 1 hour consultations on Zoom. And if nothing on my schedule works with your schedule, just email me and we will find a time. That is not a problem. And then if there's a book you think we should look into buying or some other material, you're welcome to click here and fill out this purchase suggestion. And with that, I hope you have a great time in your program here. Please let me know if there's anything at all I can do to support you in your time as a Blazer.